Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about one of these. And so this is just a standard credit card tool that you can just pick up for a couple dollars. And it is an 11-in-1, so it has 11 different tools on it. And today we're going to be testing all 11 tools and seeing if it's actually useful and whether you should keep one on you and keep one in your wallet. Coming up. Hope y'all are having a fantastic day. My name is Townsen Bell with knifemanual.com, and as I said before, we're just going to be testing the 11-in-1 credit card tool. I'll have some links in the description if you want to pick one up. They're really cheap, like $5. You can probably get one for $1 at like a dollar store. And we're just going to test all of the different uses and all the tools on them, and we're just going to see if it's actually worth keeping one in your wallet. So I'm sure most of y'all know what credit card multi-tools are or probably own one. But for those who don't, I just wanted to go over and say that they're just pieces of metal that about the size of a credit card, and they're about twice the thickness of one, and they just have a bunch of tools cut into them that just perform a bunch of different tasks. And in this one, it is an 11-in-1, so it has 11 tools. And so today, as I've said before, we're just going to test every single one of them and see if it's actually useful to have, and should you waste your wallet space carrying one of these. So before we test every single one, I just wanted to go over and overview all the 11 tools that it has. So it has a can opener, a knife edge, a screwdriver, a ruler, a cap opener, a 4-position wrench, a butterfly wrench, a saw blade, direction and ciliary indicator, 2-position wrench, and a lanyard hole. The lanyard hole, I don't know why it counts as one. It's just literally a hole in the metal. And so, it's not really serving any purpose besides being able to thread a lanyard through it, which theoretically a lanyard could go through any other piece of the metal. There's plenty of holes to choose from. I don't know why they had to use that little hole up in the corner as the 11th tool. It seems pretty dumb, but now let's get into testing every single one of these in the field. So the first tool that I'm going to test is the can opener. And so this one, it's not like a standard can opener. It's kind of just like a blade, basically, that you jab into around the can lid, kind of pops it open. It's very difficult. You gotta use a lot of muscle just to push it down, and it's very slow going. Like, you just take a little 1/4 inch at a time. And it's not exactly enjoyable to do, but it would do in a pinch, and if you're on a camping trip and you just need to open a can of beans or something, it'll do. But it's not exactly a favored method to open cans. So the next tool we're going to talk about is the knife edge. And as a cutting edge, it works fine. It slices through wood pretty easy, and it's very sharp. But the ease of use is not so good. It's kind of just awkward to hold the card and try to carve. You don't really know how to hold it. It's flat and pretty large, and I don't know. It's not very comfortable to hold. And so it works, as with the can opener, but it's not exactly a favored method. So the next tool is the screwdriver. And as you can expect, it's just the corner of the card kind of grinded down on one side to fit a flathead screwdriver, or a flathead screw. And again, it's kind of awkward to use just because it's attached to a card and it's kind of awkward. But it gets the job done. And I guess this card isn't supposed to be super comfortable to use. It's just supposed to be there in case you need it and kind of for emergencies. So the next tool that I tested was the bottle opener. And out of all the tools on the credit card multi-tool, it's definitely the easiest and most familiar to use, just because it's basically identical to a standard bottle opener. So next up was the 4-position wrench and the 2-position wrench. So I couldn't find any bolts that would fit in the 2-position wrench just because it's so small. But I tested out the 4-position wrench and it worked pretty well. Again, it was pretty awkward because of the card format and just having to turn the whole card and 2 of the sides being sharp. And so it wasn't the most comfortable experience, but it got the job done and would work in a pinch. Next up was the butterfly wrench. And this tool isn't exactly the most useful thing that I found on this credit card multi-tool, just because the amount of butterfly little bolts that you're going to find are just very few and far between. And when you do find them, they're often quite easy to just unlodge and unscrew. And so it's not the most useful thing, and it's also not the most comfortable thing to use. So I don't know. I mean, it's just something else that they put on this card. I don't know how useful it's actually going to be, but it's there. So next up is the saw blade, and I was actually quite surprised with this one. I thought it was just going to be some little wimpy just blade that doesn't really work very well, but this thing actually chews pretty well. And I was sawing it on some pretty hard wood, and it was getting through a good half-inch piece of wood pretty fast. And so the only drawback to this is the blade is only about an inch long, so it's a lot of really quick, short movements. So it can be tiring, and it's not like something that you can use on really big pieces of material. But if it's just a small little cut, it'll get the job done. So next up is the Direction and Ciliary Tool. And this tool is very useful and it works well, but the circumstances that it would work well in are very hard to come by in the wilderness or in basically many environments. And it would need to be a very controlled environment where the water has zero ripples. I tried to use it in my backyard in a puddle, and there was just the tiniest little breeze that was blowing these tiny little ripples on the water, and it just messed with the whole thing and made it not work. But when I moved inside and did it in the sink, then it worked fine because the water was completely still with no wind moving. And so the circumstances that it would work in the wilderness are very hard to come by and very slim chances that it would. But it does work. And lastly is the Lanyard Hole. So again, this tool is not very useful. It's just really a hole in a piece of metal that you're supposed to be able to put lanyard through, but I wouldn't exactly call it a tool. And the other thing is they did group the two wrenches, the 4-position wrench and the 2-position wrench. Those are two separate tools, even though they basically do the same thing, just for different size bolts. So now that we've tested all of the tools on the credit card multi-tool, it's time to decide whether it is useful enough to actually carry around and have one on you. Personally, I'd say it's so small and it doesn't take that much room up in a wallet, and it's really not that heavy, that putting one in your wallet would not really have any disadvantages. It would only come in handy, and there wouldn't be any drawbacks to it. And you never know, you might need a tiny little saw or a screwdriver in some situations, and just having one will save you in that situation, and not having one, well, obviously it won't. And the drawbacks of actually carrying one around are so small that you might as well. So yeah, that's all I got for you today on this topic. I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments about whether you carry a credit card multi-tool, whether you don't, your reasons why, just all of that. You can find more information on this topic down in the description. There'll be a link to my blog, knifemanual.com, where I write about everything about outdoors, knives, survival, and there's an article about credit card knives and tools you should check out. There's a link in the description. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.